I am joined this week by my Bridge Winners colleague, Jason Feldman. Glad to have you here, Jason.
All right. Thanks, Adam. Pleasure to be here.
All right. First question is always, how did you learn bridge?
Probably like a lot of people through my parents. So I noticed there was something where I'd see my parents going off on using their vacation time to play bridge. And so when I was about 10 or 11, I figured there's something to this game if they're spending so much time playing. So I asked my mom to teach me, and so she did.
What did she do to teach you?
I started just kind of teaching around the kitchen table a bit there. Then trying to think, there was a book involved. I might be 5 weeks to winning bridge that I had me read, maybe another one as well. Then I think we played a club game or two. And then I think not too long after that, she was headed off to the Orlando Nationals. So then I came in tow. I was like, okay, interested in joining. And so I went, she was going to go off and play with her partner in the national events, and so took me over to the novice area, and they found a partner for me. And I played in that 0 to 5 game and set me up with this old lady. So we're going through, and then about 2/3 of the way through the session, she says, my dog wasn't feeling so great earlier. I'm going to go home and check on him.
You were playing that badly?
Apparently. So I was like, all right, I was like so bad that I had to ditch this 11-year-old kid. I go there up to the director. I was like, my partner had to leave to take care of her dog. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. So the director was nice and filled in, and I talked to my mom at dinner that night. Like, so is this what normally happens? Like, people just kind of take off when they feel like they've had enough? Or like, no, not at all. That was the first and last time that's happened to me.
Well, that's good. So did you just kind of get crazy about it, like a lot of us do, about bridge?
Yeah, so I got pretty into it for the next couple of years, and Tom Neese's daughter, Katrina, was also around the same age. So our parents set us up, and she was starting to get into it. So we played in some of the the novice room games. Then I think she somewhat lost interest, and then actually I did for a while as well, and I stopped playing for most of my teenage years. And I'd go to a few tournaments in caddy. Maybe I'd play a session or two, but just was kind of doing other teenage stuff between different sports and causing trouble, whatnot. And then when I got into college around 17, I got a little bit more into it when I was out in California. And then I saw there was a junior camp in the Czech Republic. And that's, I think, when I really got hooked again, playing there and seeing, okay, hey, there's a lot more young people here. Having a bar in the playing area wasn't a bad idea either. It's really made it social and fun, and we had a great time. And so after that, I've kind of been hooked since then, and playing pretty much regularly.
Yeah. And then you got into the USBF's junior program, right?
Correct. Right. That's kind of started after, that tournament at the Czech Republic. I got more serious and started playing with Paul Beta, who actually recently won the mix after a hiatus. But him and I started playing regularly, and we played on one of the junior teams and the Rio World Championships, I think, in 2001. And then, kept playing through the USBF junior program was great. And then all the WBF tournaments was a lot of fun.
And did you get into bridge books at some point?
I did, yeah. I was fortunate. My father had a pretty vast bridge library, and he was good in kind of providing guidance. All right, this one might be useful.
Do you read much bridge stuff these days?
I don't.
Other than Bridge Winners, which I know you read every day.
Of course, read everything on there, right? And probably more so if I'm going to a tournament, I might have an ebook on a plane, or just to help refresh myself, do some bridge problems, things like that. Most of my bridge practice these days is probably on Qbids, which is a great app for partnership bidding.
Yeah. So you have a job. You have a real big boy grown-up job as an immigration lawyer. So how do you find time for bridge? What do you do in your, just between tournament life to kind of keep your game sharp?
It can be difficult to balance that. And, the reality is often I'm not doing a lot between tournaments. The Qbids app is great for that, because, okay, it's easy to find, the 10-minute window here. Okay, I'm going to go bid the hands, and it's thinking about bridge and having dialogue with my partner. Okay, refining our agreements. I definitely not the same as somebody who's playing every single day and being sharp. And where I find it most noticeable is at the table. It means I'm having to think more about routine situations where somebody is just on autopilot, but I have to pause, okay, and think, all right, what's there, and some of these different inferences. And occasionally that can be detrimental if it gives something away to the opponents, like, okay, they realize they had a problem. And sometimes it might not end up mattering. But
do you find yourself like a little rusty sometimes at the beginning of a tournament? Do you feel like that rust shakes off as the tournament goes along?
Sometimes. I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm playing a lot better as the tournament goes on, and I'm normally at my strongest towards the end of the week. Other times, I don't know if it's just from luck or whatnot, I kind of able to hit the ground running and play well from day one.
What does your routine look like at a tournament?
It's varied over the years, but now as I'm getting older, I guess I find I have to take care of myself a little bit better, and I'm finding that at least for me, diet and just concentration play a big role. Generally, I don't like to eat in the morning, so just kind of wake up. Sometimes I'll have to work a few hours in the morning, but then before the session, I'll stop off and have quick like 5 minutes kind of meditation, just lay down and just clear my head and just get focused. I have a few songs that I like to listen to as well, and just get in the zone and start thinking about our hand patterns, what I need to do, what I want to focus on, and then between sessions, if I eat something that's pretty light, I don't want all my blood going to my stomach, but some fruits, vegetables, nuts, things like that. But maybe some tea, and then again, same thing. Get my mind ready. Spend the 5 minutes before I'm going to walk down to the playing area. Just total relaxation.
So you go the whole day of bridge with just some fruit and nuts as your only food?
Basically, yeah. And then I have a big dinner. And it's like, so people at the dinner table often like shocked. It's like, wait a second, you're skinny, and how do you eat so much food? It's like, well, I just get a whole day's worth of calories at once. And
is that what your routine is like when you're at home in terms of eating? Are you like a no breakfast, no lunch kind of guy generally?
I found that even works well for me is too at home. Sometimes like on the weekends, I more often eat, just kind of social with the family and the kids. But during the work day, it's often that as well. Sometimes I'll have lunch, or when the kids here get home from school at 2:33, then they'll have a snack. I'll come down, and then I usually eat my first meal of the day. Then, so if I'm hungry, I might eat something a little earlier. But kind of a little bit of a intermittent fasting as well. I just find it helps. My body does functions better that way, to really, let whatever I've had the day before to really come out. And I just find my blood flows to my brain, and I'm just feeling better and healthier and with more energy.
So what's on your pre-bridge playlist?
I love Carl Denson's Tiny Universe.
I don't know it, but I'll have to look. We'll link it in the show notes.
Okay, yeah. So it's some I'd say maybe like modern kind of jazz funk blend, like a big band.
Do you drink it all at a bridge tournament?
Yeah, I used to. These days, very rarely. I mean, I might have like a one drink at dinner, but like maybe two. But I'm not. I don't drink that much at all these days. I just don't enjoy it and as much, and I'm finding it has a much bigger impact on me the next day. 20 years ago, it's like, okay, if you wake up feeling fine, and now it's like I can feel a little cloudy, and I just don't enjoy it.
What about exercise?
Sometimes. I'm the type of person who loves to play sports, pretty much any and all sports. As a group that'll sometimes go play padel or pickleball. I'm usually get into that if it's can accommodate it between the downtime from bridge. Find it hard to get motivated to go to the gym or run or those things like that. But sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll run, a few miles, and just to clear my head and feel like I need to get my body moving from before a whole bunch of sitting. And I do some like stretching as well, or some like fascia flossing, and to loosen up my body.
What do you do in your regular at home life in terms of keeping your body fit?
I play hockey once or twice a week. Actually, since moving to Florida, I started playing here on a team with Gavin, so that's a lot of fun. Vince when he's around, and when the waves are good, I like to surf too. But otherwise, maybe just kind of depends on what people want to do. A little bit of pickleball, used to play more frisbee golf, but it's less fun here in Florida. Back when we were living in British Columbia, the skiing and snowboarding was a big thing, right? Being walking distance from the hill, so most days I'd get up there at least for a few runs.
Every day you were going skiing?
I would say every day. I think I got around like 50 or so days in the winter.
Do you think that diet and exercise play a part in bridge performance?
It depends on the person. For me, yes.
Yeah.
Like I find that, all right, what I can do to optimize just my thinking, if you will, or just mental clarity and acuity. I think often I didn't realize it as much as when I was younger, but if I'm digesting or food, it seems like I don't have as much blood to my brain. And same if I'm recovering from being hungover, it's the same thing. Like if I'm not sleeping enough, it's the same issue. If I'm exercising, I feel like it's overall you're just keeping your body healthy. So I don't know if that the exercise necessarily so much on any one given day, but I think for longevity that the people who are healthy and maintain their bodies better are going to age slower. So that might be a better 70-year-old is going to be somebody who's fit as opposed to somebody who's, ate poorly, didn't exercise, and maybe abused substances.
Yeah. How much bridge do you play these days outside of the nationals?
That's mostly it. I mean, I do like 1 or 2 regionals a year. The odd years, I plan on playing the Canadian trials, at least when it qualifies for the Bermuda Bowl. I was fortunate enough to prevail in that and play in that Bermuda Bowl. So, I mean, that's a fabulous event. I'd like to keep playing that as long as I'm able to do so. Those otherwise really just the nationals, in the World Championships when I can. Maybe now that I'm here in Florida, I could see myself playing a few more regionals.
Do you play online at all?
I don't.
Why not?
I mean, I don't enjoy it as much.
You don't enjoy it. Why? Tell me about that. Because some people love it and some can't stand it, and I'm always curious about it.
Part of it, it's the competitive nature of it and wanting to, be in an environment to play against top level people. So it's not if I'm just going to go on and play, or I'm not going to enjoy that. Yes, and you could get a fixed game set up. If somebody else had something set up and say, hey, can you play at this certain time and it's going to be there, I'd probably do that. But then it's also balancing everything else in my life between the job and kids and exercise. And it's hard to put that in. If I'm going to spend 2 hours of bridge time during the day, then that means, all right, they're going to have to work 2 hours later, then it's going to be 2 hours less with the kids, or something's got to give at one end. And it's not that I don't like it. It's just that I don't like it as much as being at the table in the major events where you're there, I plan for several hours and it's really focused and intense. I can just kind of full on get into bridge mode.
But even when you're at the tournament, it sounds like you don't totally unplug from work, right?
No, and unfortunately that's not a reality. Like we're working in part for myself. I get a lot of flexibility from that. But on the flip side of it is it ultimately falls on me as well to keep clients happy and take care of them. It's not the level of service we'd want to provide to. If I was in their shoes, I wouldn't want to say, hey, Art, sorry, this person I'm relying on is gonna check out for 10 days and I'm gonna have to wait to hear from them. It's also somewhat of a self-preservation as well, because if I come back after not doing any emails for 10 days, I'm going to have a few thousand to sort through, and it's just going to be even worse.
Are you able, though, when you're at the table to shut all of that out and just be at the table and fully concentrated? Or do you think having that split attention affects your play at all?
I don't think it affects my play when I'm at the table. I don't recall a situation where I've ever been like thinking about an immigration matter at the table. Like when I'm there, it's like, all right, it's totally tuned in.
Is that something you've had to work on, or just it's always been that way?
I think it's just always been that way for me.
Do you tend to dwell on bad results that happen at the table?
No, it's all right. You're not like a machine that, okay, like 2 seconds later, you're already ready to move on. But I might take, all right, if I needed, 5-10 seconds, all right, to see what's there. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to start bidding the next hand. It's completely out of mind. And I try to have a rule with any partner that we don't talk about things at the table. unless it's something that we really need to resolve right now for that set so we can firm up an agreement. I find that's in the past, that's been the number one blocker of trying to move on. Like when it's, somebody says something to you, now you're worried not only about that, you're thinking about that, well, I got to respond to them. And it's not letting it go. You're thinking about what you're going to say to your partner, how to respond to their retort, or maybe they're making you feel bad. So that makes it much harder to move on. Now, I think if you're only talking about it at the end, then at the end of the session, rather, you find it much easier to move on and just solely focus on the next hand.
So what does your post-mortem look like at the nationals, in between sessions, at the end of the day, at the end of the tournament?
So in between sessions, I usually chat with my partner if there's something where I felt like we weren't on the same page, then just bring that up, but just say, oh, do you think this should be forcing or whatever it is? And just if there's anything you want to talk about, sometimes not. Usually less so if we've got to go back, right? If it's a break in between, the second and third quarter, it's usually less of a discussion unless it's something that we feel like we need to iron out. If it's, one or two quick hands, that's not a big deal.
And at the end of the day, do you go over all the boards?
No, usually not. I mean, certainly been many times where I have, if they're partly depends on what is the dinner group going to do. If they're going through it, I'll go through with them as well. Or particularly if it's like a pair game, everybody's got the same hand record, we'll do that. Or I guess if it's a team, you're going to dinner with your team and people want to talk about it, then you'll talk about it. It's rare that for a team match that you really go through all the boards, at least from my experience. It's usually just, okay, let's pick and choose a few interesting ones, or that one where somebody wants to share a story.
Who are you playing with mostly these days?
With Luke,
You've only been playing with him a couple years, is that right?
Right, since last fall was our first tournament.
So what has that process looked like for you guys, building a new partnership and getting up to speed?
So the initial process, I think I had some notes from different partners I played with in the past, and kind of sent him something, and that's like just a starting point. Then he had some stuff that he liked, and he put those together, and we kind of just melded it, and it sort of grew over time. And then we say relatively early on, maybe a month or so into that, of kind of combining the notes, we sat down. I think we had 3 or 4, kind of longer, video calls, where since he's in the Netherlands and I was in British Columbia, just going through basically page by page of the notes, talking through it. All right, it's there. What does this mean? What are the follow-ups as needed? Is what's forcing any gaps, and just so clarity if as we're going through it, okay, maybe this doesn't make sense or contradicts that. And then that was our base that we basically kept for probably over a year now. We've added little things here or there, clarified things, like optional key card was one that we kind of keep coming back to. Okay, when is it on? When is it off? It's non-serious as well as another one, or different times. It's needs to clarify what things are on, what bits are forcing in certain situations too.
Have you found that just coming from different worlds, an American-Canadian world versus the European world, have you found a lot of just fundamental differences? And, oh my God, of course that's forcing. And the other one's like, what are you talking about? That's not forcing.
Not so much. They're on an expert level. They're, coming a lot closer together now than they might have been in the past. I think some of the Americans are adopting some of the European treatments, and vice versa for certain things. Probably less of the vice versa.
We do some things okay over here.
And he's also played a lot with other Americans, or with its sponsors as well, so he's familiar with that. And he's also the coach of the Dutch team, so he's pretty attuned in terms of helping make agreements or what needs clarification. So he's helped maybe avoid some of those maybe problems preemptively by being kind of aware when we had those initial sessions, going through the notes of clarifying what's forcing or not. And he's great as a partner in that sense, because he's been pretty flexible in terms of playing kind of whatever, so long as we agree, which is similar. I'm more or less willing to play most things as long as it's not a memory overload and we agree and know what we're doing.
Do you have anything on your I won't do it list?
I would say it's any one convention. It's more things that like, this is a whole lot of memory for not much gain. Anything that kind of checks those boxes, it's a no, unless it's something I'm already familiar with. I probably have a few things in there that some might argue are quite a bit of memory for maybe not too much gain, but for whatever reason, they're already in our heads, so it's not that big a deal.
How long are the system notes? How many pages?
I think about 60.
Is one of you responsible for updating them?
I think we both are. I probably did more of the updating, and then we've actually hired Marusha to help with the formatting, since that's a big weakness of both of ours. Try and format them, have them look good, and so she was really instrumental in that, to make them easier to read and understand. The other thing which she added, which I thought was really useful, is she kind of color coded the responder and opener.
That's cool. How much does your work on the system and work with Luke ramp up before a big tournament? We're about a month away from the Nationals in San Francisco. Is it ramping up now?
A little bit. It's about to. I mean, it's usually about this time where I print out a paper copy that's fresh, and then just start having it's kind of like bedtime reading, or if we're on a trip. But then it's really the plane ride to the Nationals. That's a big one. It's like, okay, this is my day to just read and go through, and then any questions or things I'm not sure about, chat through. But been kind of continually bidding on Q bids, maybe a little bit more right before.
And then once you're at the tournament, do you look at the notes at all?
Yeah, I'd still do often. Sometimes at night before bed, or even in the morning before playing, I might give them another read through. For more so like the first few days. More kind of later, if we're getting a little deeper, it's like, all right, I want to make sure I know these, and don't forget anything. Just things that are fresh in my mind, or areas that are, wait a second, this section's not as intuitive. Let me just double check that.
What do you think separates the really world-class players from the tier below them?
I think just consistency, and not just consistently doing all the little things right. It might be, all right, if you put them into a spot, maybe a world-class player might defend this hand right, 99 times out of 100, whereas a tier below might do it 90 times out of 100, just for whatever reason it's not there. It's understand there's sometimes where you see like true brilliance, right? It's that they have it, and those can swing a board, and those hands can get written up, but quite often you could go through a match with not ever having something like that. But it's just making the close decisions right consistently. The other aspect is, I think they're better at evaluating hands. Some systems require that more so than other. Like some, I think kind of relay, more artificial systems, it could be, okay, well, if you just really have all this completely memorized, it's you're just kind of following that. It's, but yes, all right, then there can still be some judgment about what to do once you have that information. Or in competitive auctions, then often everybody's, again, just using their judgment and guessing. And I think that's another area where the world-class players kind of shine, right? At the tier below them, they're able to get some of the inferences in some aspects, but they're partly guessing. Say maybe they're guessing, 60% of, all right, I think this is 60% right. It's like, all right, whereas a world-class player, maybe they see something else that can point the needle in the other direction. Some of their pieces that can swing that, or it's like, all right, or they get extra information, say, hey, this is more like 70 or 80% to be the right decision because of that. The idea is like little things that they're able to pick up and to see that, or come up with some negative inferences or things that aren't, and pick up on little things as well. World-class players are better at that than others. Noticing, all right, there's a little bit of a hesitation. Maybe they don't have a regular no trump opening. Or overcall.
Where do you think the consistency comes from?
Repetition's a big thing.
If I acknowledge that, or if I spot that as a shortcoming in my game, because a lot of us do, right?
Mm-hmm.
We make the stupid mistake, we revoke, we don't realize that the 6 is high at the end. How do you go about working on that?
I mean, for some people, it may not ever come, right? Their brain just is not able to process all the different pieces of information consistently. And others, I think everybody can improve with practice. I'm sure there's like different drills that people can do, like, right, we're just kind of going through different, defensive situations, watching the spots, counting the cards, just kind of going through that every single time that you're playing or defending, counting every suit, every hand, with the high cards. What's their shape? Putting together hands. All right, what would they do with that hand? All right, how would they play this suit? What's not consistent about what they're doing there? Just kind of doing those mental exercises repeatedly. Um, and that's kind of going back to like one of the detriments I have by playing less. It's kind of some of those things are take me more time at the table, and it's sometimes there's things I don't. Maybe there's a piece of information that would have been useful to help point me towards the right line of play or right bid, but it's just by not kind of seeing it a day in and day out. It's all right. Maybe that same piece of information, another player is like, oh yeah, I saw that last week at a regional where it's, it's maybe totally different hand, but it's like that same type of negative inference where somebody didn't do that. It's such as fresh in their mind and they're operating with that, all these pieces of information consistently flying at them and being processed.
If you were a professional player and this was your job and you were at tournaments 2, 3, 4 weeks a month, how much better do you think you would be? Like 5%, 50%? Do you have any sense?
I don't know. It's something that's really hard to quantify.
Yeah. Because a lot of it is that consistency.
Some days it may not make any difference, or maybe my error might actually have been, hey, I got a good board because I took a 40% action that really worked out. So it's like, all right, and you can feel like, hey, I'm playing great today, and not realize that actually maybe that was a mistake, but I got lucky. The finesse was on, and trumps broke 3-2, and it's like, okay.
Did you give any consideration when you were younger to being a bridge pro?
Hey, I did, and there was actually a period when I'm my early 20s after I graduated from university and was living in New York, playing some at the club, playing a bit of rubber bridge, playing a bit of poker as well. There's very little online, if any, to my knowledge, professional bridge work at that time in the early 2000s. And a part of it was maybe for better or worse. Like I kind of struggled to make ends meet there just from that. I'm making much more playing poker than bridge. And it's like, okay, and not that I'm a great poker player. It's just that at that time between the online and the in-person poker games, they were just so juicy. You didn't have to be great. You just had to be not bad. And then I could see it too. Or thinking through, it's all right. Is this really what I want? Do I want to be on the road all the time and trying to suck up to clients? And there's, for the most part, I think it's collegial and friendly around between bridge pros, but there's a bit of competition for limited work as well. Sometimes it doesn't always present people's best face, or some things that are less than, not always on the up and up. And that was, so the combination of that, like not having, at that point I wasn't, all right, somebody was about to go get a contract for one of the major teams, and even limited regional work, a little bit of club work. It's like, all right, do I really want to grind and build my way up? And then it's not sure what's going to happen there. And so it's that point I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I actually spent more time I went down to Central and South America, learned Spanish, and I just got into surfing there and just really traveling. And both of those became really big passions of mine. It was my late grandfather. It's kind of came back after one of those trips when I was in New York again, then playing some more bridge and poker and talking with him. And he was the one who convinced me to go to law school. Like I'd actually graduated from law school himself, even though he never really practiced. He worked for American Greetings as kind of a lower mid-level executive there, but went to law school at night and just found that his law school education was really useful in terms of just business negotiations and helping teach him how to think and how to write. He graciously offered to help with some of the tuition costs if I wanted to go. He was a little concerned about what I was doing at the time too, so wanted to push me in that direction. So it's like, he's like, well, even if you have no intention of ever being a lawyer, I still think you'd really benefit from going to law school and would enjoy it. So kind of recommendation and assistance. I took the LSATs and ended up applying for law school, and wanted to go somewhere where I could surf, and Hawaii waitlisted me. So San Diego was the next best choice. So at that point in time, like I wasn't sure I even wanted to practice law. And though my mom was an immigration attorney, I never thought I was going to go into immigration law. Like I was like, I don't want to do what my mom does. So then I traveled a bit more and went through law school, and just found, still playing bridge some, but found that, I actually really enjoyed immigration law in the sense that it was, situation is requires like strategic thinking about a person's situation. It's like, all right, there's, dozens or of different visa options, or, hundreds, including all the different permanent residencies and programs and all the kind of the obscure other programs, that it's like, all right, you're trying to strategize what's the best solution for this person. At the end of the day, you're providing a tangible benefit for them. So like all the people I met, well, traveling and through bridge would often want to find a way to come to the US to live and work. And this is the way I could really work with a real person and do that. And then just the intellectual aspects of the law for it were interesting too. So it's like, okay, well, why fight it? That's what even though my mom does that, if I want to do this as well. So let's why don't we open up a firm together? And so I talked to her, and we decided she was kind of wanting to get back to California anyways, where she had spent a lot of her earlier years before moving to Illinois. So we opened up that firm together. So that provided kind of that professional consistency, but having, the own business there, it provided that flexibility. It's like, okay, I don't have to necessarily answer to boss who's saying, hey, you only get this many weeks. It's like, all right, well, the clients, I need to get stuff done, but I could still go to a bridge tournament.
Do you feel like there are ways that your lawyer work helps you as a bridge player?
I don't think so. I'd say the other way around somewhat, but yeah.
Oh, so the other way around?
It's, well, bridge is a game of like incomplete information as well, and just using logical reasoning to try and solve a problem. So in immigration law, it's a lot of it's logic based. All right, thinking about the facts of somebody's situation, what they're trying to accomplish, both for either family reasons or from business perspective, and then figuring, okay, so kind of logically exclude some of the different visa options, and I could pretty quickly narrow it down to a few. So it might be like at a bridge table, all right, I can kind of narrow it down to a few different lines of play, and sort of just going through each one and thinking through what are the possible outcomes, what are some of the snags that could occur, what might the government say, and just kind of thinking through that. A lot of it's, a lot of logic applies to both of them. So I mean, I guess maybe you could say that using logic in immigration law helps use logic in bridge, but I don't see that. Maybe just because I've been playing bridge for so many more years than being a lawyer, it's kind of thinking, my brain's tuned to think out for cards and bridge first.
Do you think lawyers generally make pretty good bridge players?
A lot of law is thinking logically and worrying about details, which are skills that are useful at the bridge table. So in that sense, lawyers could be well positioned to do well in the game, but I don't know. I guess if you put on average compared to some other professions, I'd probably rate them above average because of the amount they have to use logic and be detail oriented compared to some professions that they don't.
All right. Last question for you. Let's say that I offer to pay you to get better at bridge. I say, you don't have to work.
Okay.
I want you to devote at least 40 hours a week to making Jason Feldman a better bridge player. What would that look like for you? And how much better would Jason Feldman be as a bridge player at the end of the year?
Good question. I like the premise of that.
Yeah, please do that for me, Adam.
You just take care of that whole law firm thing, and make those people happy, and I'll
Mom, I'm taking some time off.
What would that look like? Well, I mean, I guess that part's maybe the easier aspect. A good chunk of that would be reading additional bridge books. I think there's a huge wealth of options out there. Just kind of seeing different hands and kind of some of the more advanced concepts, like, right, with, for example, like the adventures in card play, or the Rodwell files, things come to mind. But I'd say probably rereading those and just really getting those concepts and seeing those hands like that again. Some which just kind of test your play type books as well, maybe some back issues of the bridge world. So that'd certainly be one component of it. Say maybe 10 hours of the 40 might be devoted to that. Maybe a couple hours a day of reading bridge. Playing be a huge part of that, right? All right, if I no restrictions, that probably would mean, okay, I'm going to go play in whatever the most prestigious tournament is going on in the world. It's wherever that is. But from a practical standpoint, okay, hey, if travel was limited and it's like, all right, you've got to focus on that without, then all right, maybe some online play, trying to set up a set game with other top players. cubits. Again, at the end of the day, like bridge is a partnership game, so you need some buy-in from your partner as well. Like just bidding hands and then refining things. Like even still, I feel like I've bid the gazillion bridge hands, but there's still situations coming up where I'm like, is this forcing? And I even ask like some of my peers, and it's like it's not a consistent answer. And there's no, at least I don't know of a way to just to have a list. All right, here's 100 questionable situations that are forcing or non-forcing. Go through them and talk about it with your partner. I mean, maybe Kokish had some things like that. So, I guess that might be another thing. Maybe going through all the old like Kokish files about the training materials that he has. I think probably would be time well spent. Maybe say 5-10 hours a week doing that. What
Do you
else?
think you'd be better at the end of the year?
Yeah, I think I'd be a lot better. The hands like Bridge Master as well. I understand there's only so many deals, so you might exhaust those pretty quickly if you're doing 40 hours a week. But just going through all of those, and then that, yeah, it'd certainly be better. How much better? I don't know. Then I think there's an intangible aspect of that too. The other things. If I'm fully devoted, that means staying healthy, getting on a regular sleep cycle. Continuing to eat well and exercise, having a routine, so that not just going through the motions those 40 hours, but you're fully concentrating those 40 hours. And it's how do you quantify how much better somebody is? I don't know. Like it could be you might show up one tournament and have no difference. You could still lose the first round of the spin gold and be like, all right, well, that was a waste.
Yeah.
But it could be that, all right, hey, you're because it's a partnership game or often a team game. It's like, hey, we're playing well. Then it could be like, all right, wait a second. This match I was really spot on. Like I got a couple, like every close decision I got right. I really saw some inferences, and I was there at the table, and I don't think I would have necessarily gotten them all right if not playing those, but it's hard to, you never know.
All right. Well, thank you. This was a great conversation, and I look forward to seeing you in San Francisco.
All right. Well, thanks as well, Adam.